What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to talk about some huge weapon changes coming with Lightfall and Year 6 of Destiny 2. At this point we're only a few weeks away from the new expansion, and so we're going to touch on some big adjustments and additions to the game, and that includes sweeping changes to Airborne effectiveness, some really big additions to exotics, plus there are extra updates to crafting on the way, nerfs for some of the very potent weapons right now, new catalysts, and much more to discuss. And so guys, if you enjoy the video, be sure to get subscribed for more Destiny 2 content, as there'll be a lot to cover in the near future. But otherwise, let's get into it. In the video today, there are a lot of different items to discuss, so it's going to be a bit of a mixed bag of info for upcoming changes. And initially, we should touch on Airborne effectiveness. And so on the Firing Range podcast in mid-December, Chris Proctor and Mercules from Bungie joined, and they gave a few insights. And essentially, they're going to be reversing the downsides to Airborne effectiveness. And so Chris Proctor said, all primary weapons without investing into AE at all will be as accurate as they were pre-AE, but with Icarus Grip. And that essentially undoes the reduction in AE that weapons have technically received when the system launched. And so at base they'll be much better and more accurate, but we'll still be able to build into Airborne effectiveness to make them even better. And he added that with high Airborne effectiveness stats, weapons will be stickier than before with higher aim assist. They're even going to be halving the Airborne accuracy penalties on a lot of special weapons. And for example, removing accuracy penalties from pellet shotguns completely. All of these changes will be shipping with Lightfall at the latest, but they had said it's possible some of them will be shipped in an earlier mid-season 19 patch. So we'll simply have to wait and see, but we can expect to see a pretty big list of changes to Airborne effectiveness when the expansion drops. A few little tidbits of commentary relating to perks though, and Chris Proctor confirmed that they do have plans for a damage-based void perk for weapons, so much like we have Vault Shot and Incandescent at the moment, they are planning to add something additional on top of Repulsor Brace, specifically for void weapons to kind of match that Incandescent and Vault Shot role. Then when it comes to a new element with Strand, the developers additionally indicated that perks like Osmosis and Elemental Capacitor, and those which interact specifically with the element, will be updated to work with Strand, so that's positive. And certainly we hope to see additional perks like Vault Shot and Incandescent for that new element as well. Next though, let's speak about Foundry traits, perks, and crafting. And firstly, they've said that it's a priority that in the next few seasons, they'll introduce a couple of new Foundry traits. And of course, that could potentially be ones added to existing Foundries, or filling gaps and adding perks like the text balance stock that we got from the dungeon in Season 19. Additionally, this will be connected to reprised weapons as well, and they gave the example of DSC weapons returning with an updated origin trait. And they've said that the plan is to do that with different chunks of content every other season or so, possibly looking at old raid weapons, but also dungeon weapons and other sources as well. Then with the new weapons coming in Lightfall, and specifically with the raid, they've said we're going to be able to acquire adept weapons with enhanced perks, and while enhanced bonuses are currently tied specifically to crafting, they're going to be introduced as random drop perks on more of the endgame weapons. So it's certainly a positive there, and on top of that, Bungie have outlined that they have plans for the crafting system as well, such as introducing alternate ways to earn deep sight currencies. They hope also to have opportunities within the crafting system to allow players to deterministically choose a weapon to target, and that will be a form of bad luck protection for players trying to unlock red border weapons. And on top of that, with Lightfall, weapons that can't be crafted are no longer going to drop with deep sight. That's definitely a huge positive. There's a lot of confusion about stuff like that. I'm not sure why we can get red border weapons that can't actually be crafted, but at least in Lightfall, that will no longer be a thing. Before we get into a few weapon tuning segments here though, connected to crafting, we should specify that Bungie have said Hawkmoon and Deadman's Tale are planned to be craftable exotics in the future, so they're going to update the source for those weapons, and I'd imagine as well it's possible they'll see some new perks added. But on top of that, the developers have confirmed that there is a desire in Bungie to continue adding craftable exotics and to have more of those in the future. But when it comes to crafting and changes to the whole system, it's very likely that Bungie are going to outline more of those details soon. Up next though, we get a bit more information on specific weapon tuning, and Chris Proctor, when speaking about Whisper of the Worm and its viability in PvP, did essentially confirm that linear fusion rifles are going to see some kind of a nerf again. It looks like that is going to be a PvP focused nerf, and they added that that's why Whisper of the Worm saw a change to Airborne effectiveness, indicating that Airborne effectiveness in one form or another is going to be an important weapon element inside of Lightfall in general, and that almost certainly will tie to Strand. But on top of this, Bungie devs confirmed that Revoker is going to see a nerf, and there'll be a change to the Reversal of Fortune perk. And if you miss 2 shots within 6 seconds, you'll be refunded 1 shot, as opposed to getting refunds on single misses with the weapon. And so on top of more PvE-focused changes that we're going to hear about in the future, it looks like there will be quite a few that are targeted specifically towards PvP. And very finally for now, obviously we're going to see new exotics in Lightfall, but Bungie also have plans to do a big pass on existing exotics, including a specific part on subclass 3.0 verbs on exotic weapons. And so taking more advantage of things like Jolt and Scorch, they are looking at the Queenbreaker's Bow linear fusion rifle, but then also Ruinous Effigy, Leviathan's Breath, 1000 Voices, Sunshot, Polaris Lance, Two-Tailed Fox, and Prometheus Lens. And obviously, depending on the element of the weapons, you can imagine the kinds of changes that Bungie might be looking at. Obviously, with weapons like 1000 Voices, currently that is outclassed as a DPS weapon, for example. So it'll be interesting to see how Bungie tackle that, and it would be especially awesome to see more perks added to those verbs first. But then there are other weapons like Prometheus Lens, for example, and if you take a retraced path with Incandescent, frankly it is hands down a better weapon than Prometheus Lens is in its current form. So given how strong legendary weapons are right now, it's definitely true that a lot of exotics need bringing up quite a few levels to appear viable for a lot of players in the game. So give us your thoughts on what those changes could look like and anything that you'd like to see. The devs also teased that we are going to see new catalysts, and they didn't give specifics for any weapons. Of course, there could be existing weapons that finally get catalysts, but obviously there will also be new stuff. And the Lightfall pre-order bonus, Quicksilver Storm, in the game right now is without a catalyst, but we are going to see one introduced for that when the expansion drops. I'd say there's a lot of potential right now for weapons in the game. Personally, especially on the PvE side, I think Bungie have done a lot of very interesting stuff over the past few months, and hopefully that trend will continue. Another interesting element that we may see alongside Lightfall could be adjustments to some of the very potent bonuses like Vault Shot. I've seen you guys in the comments section discuss stuff like that, as those perks currently seem very strong and are bound to create some kind of power creep amongst weapons as Bungie try and make enticing new options. Whenever that's the case, obviously it becomes a strong possibility that we could additionally see nerfs, so let us know what you think down below. Obviously I'm not suggesting that Bungie do nerf stuff, however the cycle is somewhat predictable, so we've got to hold out for that possibility. For today though guys, I hope the video has been enjoyable. If it has, a rating down below really does help us out on the channel. And again, give us your thoughts in the comments section, any other changes you're really looking forward to, or things that you'd love to see. And if you do want to see more Destiny Season 19 and Lightfall content, definitely get subscribed and hit the bell icon if you want to receive notifications for new content. But otherwise, for now, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.